ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports Director Jon Alba here, alongside the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. He'll be coming up to Westbrook, Maine as part of Limitless Wrestling's Unreal event this Friday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Westbrook Armory. He'll be squaring off with JT Dunn in what very well may be the promotion's and potentially even the state's biggest main event in a long time. Now, Cody, my birthday happens to be January 26th. So I take this almost as if it's the gift of Rhodes, and a lot of other people in Maine are going to be given the gift of Rhodes with this event. So what exactly is the gift of Rhodes, and what can they expect?
Man, it's the best gift going. I love that, the gift of Rhodes. I think as far as Limitless is concerned and JT Dunn and the event itself, you mentioned kind of the high-profile level of the main event, and I think it's pretty fair, the level of pomp and circumstance that goes into a match like this, because JT Dunn he's a flicker on everybody's radar, like everybody in terms of the entire wrestling world, anywhere in the world, and he's one of those flickers that at any moment is just going to light up the whole screen. So it's a match I'm looking forward to very, very much.
That's what I want to ask you about. How familiar are you with JT? Obviously, it sounds like you recognize that he has made an impact, not just on the independent wrestling scene, but especially here in the New England and Northeast area. Are you really looking forward to squaring off with him on Friday?
We had an opportunity. JT Dunn and myself have wrestled once before. And we wrestled for Pro Wrestling Magic in New Jersey, and it was a complete, I don't know, a complete Donnybrook, I suppose. It was a total eye-opener for me. JT Dunn appears as like kind of a quicker, more modern 2017, not the biggest frame, but definitely packs a big punch. The hardest I've ever been chopped in my life is by JT Dunn. And I've been chopped by big shows, so it's a guy I'm very familiar with now, and I think the adjustments were made on both parts for this particular main event we're heading into this Friday, and it's just it hopefully can live up to the hype.
I think a lot of people are pretty hyped about this. Limitless Wrestling has made quite the name for itself over the course of the past year and a half. How did you first hear about Limitless Wrestling, and was this something that you were looking forward to getting involved with as you make your way around the United States and, for that matter, the globe?
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty good about handpicking the places. You know, I was fortunate enough this year that I was able to compete at a WrestleMania, then TNA's Bound for Glory, then Ring of Honor's Final Battle, and then, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom. So I've been very lucky in my hand picking. But this was one that Ethan Page, all ego Ethan Page, opened my eyes to, and you only needed to watch a few minutes of what Limitless has to offer, and it's an easy answer for me. It's a place that I want to be, because this whole path I chose to go, this whole thread I chose to pull is about, you know, proving myself right, if anything, and that's a place to do it.
Let's talk about that path that you mentioned. Everyone knows the story. You left WWE last year, and since then, over the past 7-8 months or so, you have taken the world by the palm of your hands. I mean, you have blazed your own path. You're doing something that most other wrestlers would never consider doing, and you're owning it all the way through and through. You mentioned New Japan. That's where I want to start. You just had a chance to wrestle at the Tokyo Dome in one of the biggest shows of the year, and you were a hands-on witness to what many are heralding as one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. First off, what was that experience like? And on the side, what did you end up thinking of that Okada and Kenny Omega match?
So, going into Wrestle Kingdom, I was obviously very excited. I grew up in the wrestling business, so I'm familiar with the heritage that is New Japan. But people kept telling me, "Oh, it's like WrestleMania," and I wanted to, you know, that's nice to say, but in my opinion, there's nothing really like WrestleMania. At least that's what I thought. And then I got there, And just in the day alone, I realized, it is very much like WrestleMania. It is on that level of a mega event. And as far as its content, you mentioned Okada and Omega. That's a level that WrestleMania hasn't been on in quite some time. And that's not a knock on WrestleMania. That's just praise for Kenny Omega. That match, just the slew of opinions it stirred up in the quick amount of time that it got back to the United States should show you alone. The number one thing you want in wrestling is people talking, and that got the whole world talking. So it was a privilege to see it live. Really a privilege to see it live. It's something I'll remember, for the rest of my career.
So you've had a chance to wrestle for New Japan at the Tokyo Dome. You've been doing work with TNA. You've been doing stuff with Ring of Honor alongside all these other promotions along the way. Cody, what have you learned about yourself over the course of the past year going through this and doing something that you never experienced before? Because what a lot of people have to remember is you were WWE through and through. You were brought up through the industry that way.
Sure.
Now you're doing this for yourself. What have you learned?
This might sound unique. I guess one of the things I've learned is that I'm not as bad as I thought, and I'm not as good as I thought, if that makes any sense. I very quickly learned that I could hang with guys that I respect heavily as my peers in terms of what they're capable of doing in the ring. But I also, on the same token, realized that this 2016 leading into 2017, as long as this goes on, every outing like the one we're talking about now has been heavily spotlighted, and it is my responsibility to take it up another level. Otherwise I griped and made that big scene about leaving WWE, and they were right and I was wrong. That's why I say I like to prove myself right. But every week, man, I can't express to you how important it is to me to go out and have by far the best match on the show. So it's a wonderful challenge. It hasn't become a stress. I don't see it becoming a stress. It's what I wanted. It's the type of wrestling I grew up loving, and I get to do it.
And it's just so unique because your case, we've never seen something like this before. And you are kind of blazing a trail here within the wrestling industry. You're paying it forward in a way. What do you hope that other independent wrestlers and other professional wrestlers will take away from your experience that you've been putting forth so far?
You know, when the dust settles on this thing, I think wrestling in general, not because of me. If I have a small part in it, great. But I think wrestling in general is coming to a place of self-realization again, where guys aren't just happy to have a job. There will be those, but then there are those who want to be at the top of their respective fields. And I'm happy to be a part of that kind of era of self-realization, that it doesn't have to be in WWE, but it can be in WWE. It can also be in Ring of Honor. It could also be in New Japan Pro Wrestling or in TNA. It's a matter of you stating your claim and delivering upon it. Kind of like the wrestling we all grew up in the golden age of the industry, the territories, and even in the early advent of cable television, just that golden age. I think we're heading back into that. I think most wrestling fans realize that it's a interesting time to be a wrestler or a wrestling fan, because we're walking this tight wire into another golden age, and I'm happy to be part of it.
I think the most admirable quality about you, Cody, is that you've held to your values straight through and through, regardless of what it pertains to. You've held to it, and we all know how close you were to your father and how much of an impact your father had on you. What do you think he would say about Cody Rhodes in 2017 and what he's doing today?
I wish I knew. I know that you have these times, these moments where you feel something that's out of your control. That's that's not right there. It's something bigger than right there. And walking down the ramp at Wrestle Kingdom, so much, emphasis had put on the American Nightmare element of it. It was, the jacket or the its own Bullet Club shirt, and just the element of it. I feel like the man I knew would have really, really got a kick out of it from a production standpoint. He liked to make movies. He liked to see wrestling as this cinematography that he could control. And I think he would have got a real kick out of it. I feel like I felt him in that moment. And that's one of the reasons I chase this rabbit that is wrestling, because every now and then I'm reminded of him in a very real way. And, it's a great feeling.
I was going to say, it was all about the little things with Dusty, like the production value, like you just mentioned. You got a great theme song accompanying you as you were walking down that aisle at Wrestle Kingdom. Everyone's hyped about Kingdom. How did that all come about, and you getting that track laid down and ready for your independent circuit?
Oh, with Downset?
Oh, yeah.
Those guys were good enough they had done one of my Smoke and Mirrors songs from WWE. So I was familiar with them. They've done a lot of music for WWE, and they were looking to get back in the studio, and I asked them if they'd want to make something of an original track. Just like if I'm going to treat every independent brand I go to just like I treated WWE, well, it needs to be first rate. It needs to be on that level, and they've been on that level. So it was a no-brainer for me. And they let me put my own vocals on it, and then they let me have a say in lyrics. Obviously, they took over once I gave them kind of what I was going for. And I feel like it's one of those tunes that I wouldn't say it's good or bad. I would say it's an excellent wrestling song because you remember it, and that's what they set out to do. So they did a great job.
I had to ask that question because so many people have brought up that theme to me, and it got me thinking about past conversations I've had with other wrestlers, too. And I spoke with Gangrel about a year ago, and we were talking about entrance themes. Obviously, he has his fantastic theme that he had with the Brood. One of the greatest in the business. One of the best of all time, undoubtedly. And he said the thing that Stone Cold Steve Austin told him about an entrance theme was that you needed to be able to walk to it. And I thought that was a great piece of advice, and obviously people have taken to your theme in that regard. But speaking of Gangrel, he also said something else to me. He said professional wrestling, when you're on the independent circuit, is not necessarily about getting paid to wrestle. It's about getting paid to travel and experience things around the world. How much of a blast has that been for you? Because when you're on the WWE schedule, you're doing so much traveling on your own where you're paying out of your pocket a lot of the time to travel and to drive city to city and fly and do media and all this stuff. Now you make your own schedule. You get to wrestle all around the world. I saw you wrestling in Qatar next year, or later this summer, rather. I mean, you're doing it all. How does that feel that you're getting paid to travel and experience the world?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's the greatest job you can have, which is why you want to be good at it so that you can keep doing it. I think with WWE, you go everywhere, you see nothing, just because of the day-to-day schedule. Whereas with a lot of these independent brands, I've been able, especially when I went to Japan, and I plan to do the same with Qatar, I've been able to get a day where I got to know more about the place I'm performing in, and that's invaluable. I'm a history buff, American history and world history in general. So just to kind of get ingrained in the culture a little bit makes me feel smart. And that's one of the things that with these independent brands I've been afforded. Even some of the domestic places I've gone to in the U.S. that I never would have thought to check out on a free day. I've found some new hot spots, I guess. And, Gangrel is very right with that assessment.
Well, I don't know if you know, but Portland and the Westbrook area happens to be like the hipster capital of the world. So you're going to get to come up here.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. If you're looking for some taco truck that serves like a sriracha and Korean mayo or something, I mean, that's the place to be.
Yeah.
So I want to know. I mean, we were trying to dig through our records, and we've only found that you've wrestled in Maine. We've only got one record. It was a WWE live event. You wrestled Kofi Kingston and Matt Hardy in a triple threat. Do you have any
Yeah.
other memories of wrestling in Maine, or is this something you're excited to experience?
I don't. I really remember that match because that town is Tony Atlas's hometown.
Yes, it is. He's a big Maine wrestling figure.
Yeah, yeah, and Kofi Kingston dropped me on my head that show, and I love Kofi dearly, but it's one of the more funny moments. We didn't get to Maine nearly enough. I actually kind of chuckled when I saw Westbrook, Maine on the schedule because I feel like I was like, this is finally starting to get to some places that weren't the standard markets that WWE was hitting. So this is a chance to make all new memories, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people are excited to have you up here. Cody Rhodes is going to be appearing at Limitless Wrestling's Unreal event this upcoming Friday, 7:30 p.m. at the Westbrook Armory. He's going to be facing JT Dunn. Cody, I know people have been clamoring for a big name to come to Maine professional wrestling. There was a little bit of a down period with it, but Limitless is helping bring it back up. How excited are you to be a part of making Maine wrestling great again?
Oh man, like you said, it's the gift of Rhodes, and let's hope it's like the gift that keeps on giving. And if anything, let's hope this is, the best show in Maine history, but perhaps leads to the show that follows it being the next best show in Maine. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep the trail blazing.
Well, I'll expect a card in the mail towards our station after the gig. Don't worry about that. You can send it there. I'll tell you off the air about the address and everything. But Cody, seriously, thank you so much for your time, and we're super excited to see what Limitless has in store for Unreal on Friday.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. Look forward to it.